Hey, what's up everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is Unsung Season 13, and this episode is on Digable Planets. I have to say, Digable Planets is a group that I still rock to this day. Jetton and Black Ego are on my gym playlist when I work out at Planet Fitness, so I still rocks with them to this day. And one of their biggest hits was, Cool Like That, of course. They're known for their authenticity, their social political lyrics, and their unique sound, and how they, merge jazz and soul with hip hop. And I think that was one of the main reasons what I liked about them, is because I grew up listening to jazz because my mother is a very big jazz fan. So jazz was always in my household. So when Digable Planets came out, I immediately gravitated towards that because I definitely had this, this ear of jazz that I developed listening to some of my mother's collection. And then hearing Cool Like That, I was an instant fan, And even to this day, I'm still a fan of theirs. But, the group consists of, Ishmael Butler, who became known as Butterfly. And by the second album, they had changed the name. But the first album, he was Butterfly. He's from Seattle. He had parents who were a part of the civil rights movement. So he definitely had this strong connection to being socially aware, of being proud of his blackness, and also investing in his community. And he said he definitely got a good musical ear. He, grew up listening to Motown, jazz. And what got him into rap was after Rapper's Delight is when he started rapping. So he kind of merged all of those things together. And definitely Butterfly was like the producer out of the group. So he definitely was the one who definitely had that musical edge. Well, they all did, but he was like the kind of seen as the leader of the group because of his producing talent. Because he was a damn good producer, as well as a great lyricist. And then in Philadelphia is where Craig Irvin, known as Doodlebug, that's where he was from. His father was into the Black Panther Party. His mother was an educator. So here it is. He not only had knowledge, but also knowledge of self, and black consciousness. So, and then he talked about how there was a variety of music that he grew up with, Frank Sinatra and Bessie Smith, for example. And first his first aspiration was to become a DJ, but he ended up. But when he went to college, he knew this DJ that he was very cool with, and his DJ told him this, get on the mic, and he says that's when, after that, he knew that he wanted to be a lyricist, and how they ended up crossing paths was that Ishmael, he had left college to pursue his music, but he had demos that didn't land anything, and but I think Craig was in college, but then he decided to come back to Philadelphia, and that's where they end up meeting, and Butterfly had already developed the name Digable Planets, and he was definitely, he definitely had this concept of, doing a group, even though most of the demos and stuff he had did himself. But, he was definitely looking for collaborators, and him and Craig definitely locked in. And it was Craig that was friends with Marianne Vieira, who became known as Ladybug. He met her, and she was from she's pretty much was from Brazil, and her parents were Brazilian immigrants. I'm sorry I got stuck on that. But then she also was very political and very outspoken, and she even would discuss some of the social injustices that were going on with Brazil, because Brazil, there are a lot of dark-skinned people like myself there. So it's kind of like the same, social injustices that we face in America, is what's going on in Brazil, and even as far as sharecropping and things like that. So she definitely was hitting on something. But she said definitely one of her influences was Queen Latifah, being a woman that's not afraid to stand up and say what she means and means what she says in a field of men, and so, but they said at first, she was just a friend that would hang around. But then all of a sudden they decided one day, let's write some rhymes. And then when they heard her stuff, they were blown away, and it was like, oh wow, we got something here. So they get signed to Pendulum Records. They pretty much do a demo, and immediately the head of the label was like, he knows that this was a unique group, and there was no group like this. Now, this was a group with two guys and a girl. This was before the Fugees, so they set the precedent to where the Fugees would come on later on, within the mid to late 90s. They literally set the trend, for what we had with, for what we had with the Fugees later on. And Ishmael was the producer, as I mentioned before, and they wanted to do music where it embodies self-expression and black consciousness. And the first track that they came out with was Rebirth of Slick, Cool Like That. And I remember the video, I remember the song, and one thing that grabbed me most was that jazz riff, in the beat. That grabbed me immediately. And it's just to the point that I didn't even know, when I was a kid, I didn't even know what the hell they were talking about. I just loved that beat. So when they were beatboxing and they were like rapping and doing their lyrics, I didn't understand everything they were saying, but that jazz beat and that jazz riff, I was just captivated. I was just there like, oh my god, this is awesome. But it's a very deep song, and here it is. There's a video where all these different people from different walks of life, different races, different cultural backgrounds, but they're all together listening to the song. Song about how music, unites everybody. And that was great because, that song ended up winning a Grammy. And they even talked about how it was a great moment for them because, they were recognized by the Academy of Music. But then they also kind of got backlash from some hip-hop heads because it kind of looked like they sold out. And, and also because they were constantly being played and it was in constant rotation, eventually people started to hate it. But, they at the same time, they never lost sight of who they were. And yeah, they had that great breakout hit, but they didn't lose sight on what they wanted their musical passion to be. Like they weren't going to get caught up in that cookie cutter thing that they do in the labels where they want another hit like the one you had before. They were expressive, they were innovative, and they were going to do their own thing. And it was cool because like the video for Rebirth of Slick, Cool Like That, was in a jazz club, which is another reason why I liked it, because as I said, I had a very strong ear for jazz growing up around my mother, who always listened to jazz. I mean, I can't even count how many artists that have influenced me, as a singer and songwriter. Like, I was just always surrounded by music, not just by my mother, but also by my two uncles as well. But yeah, that definitely was like their breakout hit, and it was huge. And then their next single, Where I'm From, another song I love. It talked about about the true social reality that goes on with a lot of people who come from low income communities or low income families. And another great thing about them is that they were probably like the only hip hop group that actually performed with live musicians, which gave them a totally different sound where, at the time a lot of artists, would get beats and samples and stuff within the studio. they were a hip hop act that actually had a live band playing with them, you know, and that was hot, and that it shows how different they were. And then, you know, another song they came out with was Nickel Bags, you know, Nickel Bag of Funk, a nickel bag of funk, you know, and it was like a play on words, because a lot of y'all know what a nickel bag is. I know I do, but y'all know what a nickel bag is. But it was like a play on it, like, you know, saying that our music, you know, is dope. Our music is intoxicating. Our music will get you high, you know. So, you know, that was a top 20 hit as well. You know, their debut album went gold, and you had the likes of like Bahamadia, who I definitely love her as well. Another dope lyricist, you know, female MC. She talks about how Lady Mecca, how Ladybug, aka Mecca, she became Mecca on the second album. Yeah, she talked about how she was really like one of the pioneers of lady MCs, where she didn't have to compromise her sexuality, she didn't have to show her body. She was a woman who held her own in a field of men, and she stood out. You know, she was pretty much, you know, like the precursor for Bahamadia herself and Lauryn Hill, you know. And, you know, they talk about another song, La Femme Fatale, which was talking about, you know, abortion, and, you know, really was talking about, you know, some of the injustices that goes on in society. And, you know, it was a very expressive track. It didn't make it to radio, but it was definitely a very profound piece of work, and it definitely got people's attention. But, you know, definitely, you know, the label was scared of that, because, you know, the label, you know, they pretty much the label is a business. That's how they only see it. It's a business. They want you to get songs that are going to play on the radio, and songs that are going to generate a bunch of buzz where there will be a lot of money to be made. And that's how the label thinks. Whereas as an artist, you want to express different things. You don't want to just constantly do the same thing over and over again. You want to be able to branch your wings and try different things. Because at the end of the day, when you're an artist, it's not just about the sales. It's about you expressing your true, authentic, you know, artistry, and sharing it with the world. Yes, and another person that was doing commentary on this episode was Tasha Smith. Great actress, a big fan of hers. And by the next album, they had changed their names. Butterfly became Ish. Ladybug became Mecca. And Doodlebug became See Knowledge. You know, and this next and their second album, Black Comb, was more expressive, more political, and they had issues with their label. I also like the song Ninth Wonder. That was a good track too. I think I'm probably going to add that to my playlist also. But I definitely got Black Ego and Jettin, because those songs were hot. You know, I don't care what nobody says. I love that Black Comb album. That Black Comb album was everything. Oh my goodness. It still rocks to this day for me. But Ninth Wonder was another great track. It went number 8 on the rap charts. No, I'm sorry. It's called Blowout Comb. Why the hell did I say Black Comb? I didn't mean to say that. I meant Blowout Comb. But yeah, Blowout Comb was that shit. But I think it's because I was thinking about Black Ego and made me say Black Comb. Forgive me, y'all. But yes. You know, Jettin is definitely a song I like. You know, I love Jettin. They actually, you know, premiered for the first time on Soul Train doing Jettin, and I remember seeing that episode. But yeah, Jettin was definitely one of my favorite tracks from them, and you know, because it just has this very real funky, groovy, laid back sound, and it just kind of takes you somewhere where it gives you a level of energy and confidence, you know. And I definitely also got the same feel when I listened to Black Ego as well. But then it was around the second album where um, they were getting pressure from the label, and then there started to be dissonance within the group, where they were all wanting to do their own thing. They were kind of going in different directions, and then both Ishmael and Craig had became fathers, and they were getting pressures on the label because the label wanted another cool like that. They wanted that cookie cutter, and they were kind of finally fighting against that. Oh yeah, and another track that I love was Dial 7, which was about oppression, and that they were enlightening the people about what's really going on. Social awareness. Another great track. So eventually, by 1995, after 2 albums, they ended up dissolving, and then they also had to deal with personal hardships. Like, for example, Ladybug Mecca, she had lost her parents within the span of a year, and that definitely that just had to be extremely heartbreaking, as well as crippling, when you lose your 2 biggest fans, and you lose them within a year. I mean, I can only imagine the type of pain she had to deal with that. And then also Ishmael, his mother had passed, and he moved back to Seattle, and he ended up creating a group, Shabazz Palaces, and he also had more children. He even has a son with Coco from SWV. Her eldest son is that's the son they had together, and their son actually appeared in Coco's Sunshine video, when she did her solo album. The song Sunshine, their son was in that video with her. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Also, after they disbanded, Craig, he created a group, Cosmic Funk Orchestra, and while performing, he actually met his wife, and they have 2 kids. And another thing that I found very remarkable of him, and I literally took my hat off to this man when I heard this, when he talked about it, because due to the fact that they were on the road, they kind of neglected some of the children they had earlier, Ishmael and Craig. Well, he said that his son, his baby mother, their mother had passed away, and he actually took his son to live with him. But not only that, he also took in his little brother, who wasn't his kid, but he adopted him and kept him and his brother together. And I have to say, that is very remarkable, and something that I definitely bow to, because that just shows the power of black men, and that is something that we should aspire to be. Men who are fathers, who care for our children and care for our families. And the fact that in that time of need, he not only got his son, but he also adopted another son, saying that, yeah, I didn't create you, but you mine. That's real. And I definitely owe that same type of respect to my father, to my dad, because the man that I call my father is not my biological father, but he's always loved me and accepted me as if I was his kid. So I definitely bow to that, and that's just extremely remarkable. And Ladybug, she also became she's still working on music, but then she also became the mother of, I think she became the mother of she became the mother of 3 boys. So I'm like, hey, she got her squad. But she talks about how she not only embraces her solo work and all of that, and she's also had group projects as well, but she definitely, one of her biggest achievements was when she became a mother, and that she loves her kids, and that's real. And Digable Planets, they came back together in 2005. They were together for 3 years, And then 2016, about 2 years ago, they reunited again. And as I'm saying, they have timeless music, and this music is still relevant today because people talk about that they woke. They started out being woke. You know, they defined what woke really is and what being woke is all about. And even though at the time when they were in their heyday, I was a little boy. I was like around 10 or 11 at the time. But their music still has left a positive imprint on my life, and their music I still listen to this day, and their music will never die, and they are legends in my opinion. And I just can't wait to see what's going to happen with them in the future, because they're still performing. They're still performing for big crowds. So it's great that they had this great journey, and that they've blessed us, melanin children like myself, with a sense of pride and with a sense of awareness of who we are and what we're capable of. So that's what I have, everybody. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I'll be back with the next episode of Unsung. So until next time, everybody, take care.